Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Well, the report has come out on Teofimo Lopez's performance over Pedro Campa, and man, it's bad. And the way you can tell that it's bad is when almost all of Teofimo Lopez's own peers are criticizing his performance after he moved up to 140 for the first time. And keep in mind, Teofimo said that he would actually be even better at 140 because he had been at 135 for too long. Now, and I'm just going to give you guys a couple of different boxers' reaction to his performance. I'm going to put it up on the screen. You guys can go ahead and read the tweets. These are tweets from Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, and Regis Prograis, a fighter that Teofimo actually called out after he beat Campa. Not too many other boxers were impressed with Teofimo Lopez's performance. Now, while a lot of boxers felt like he looked extremely flawed moving up to 140, fighting against a very relatively unknown cherry-picked opponent, one of the boxers that criticized Teofimo Lopez stood out the most, and that is Fernando Vargas Jr. The Vargas brothers, they're good friends with Teofimo. I'm not saying they're best friends, but he put up videos of him hanging out with the Vargas brothers. He shouted them out before. And yet Vargas Jr., he went into complete detail explaining why he wasn't impressed with Lopez's performance.
Did you guys like how Teofimo looked tonight? You know, I'm going to be real, man. He looked a little tired. I don't know what it is. Maybe, the ring rust, maybe psychologically just having having that hard fight and then coming back, maybe it's a little bit too much pressure, but got the job done, knocked him out. But, I know Oscar's here and, other people are scouting him. And 140, I don't know. I didn't really see that devastating Teofimo power at 140, but we'll have to see a little more fights.
Yeah, the guy was tough, but he did take about 100 of those shots.
Yeah.
And you think at lightweight, that might have got a knockout earlier, but not 40?
Definitely. I just felt his timing was a little off. He was following shots up with just one counter. Like my dad said, put 2-3 punches together, 2-3-2 instead of just a 2. He should have followed it back up. He should have thrown punches in combinations. And I think just looking too pretty, like I fall into that. When my dad says, Junior, quit trying to look too pretty. Trying to do that shoulder roll, and there's only one Floyd, so he was getting caught with right hand. So there's definitely things that needs to work on, but he got the job done tonight.
So there it was. Vargas was asked if he liked Teofimo's performance, and you heard what Vargas Jr. said. There's some things he needs to work on. He looked like he gassed out. His timing was off. Guys, let's just look at the dichotomy between a fighter like Lopez versus Gervonta, or even Devin Haney. But let's just focus on Gervonta for now. Have you noticed there has never been a time, in fact, Gervonta moved up to 140. And when Gervonta moved up to 140, how many boxers did you hear say, oh, he has to go back to the drawing board. There's some things that he needs to work on, or he needs another fight before he steps up in competition and fights against the top guys. That's what Andre Ward said after he watched the fight with Lopez and Campa. And that's also what Fernando Vargas Jr. said. I didn't play that clip yet, but he said the same thing. When he was asked who he thought would win the Ryan Garcia fight, he actually picked Ryan Garcia. Now, granted, he did say, I'm going to go with my countryman, Ryan Garcia, because he's Mexican. But even when he said that, he also said, I think Teo needs at least one more fight before he even fights Ryan Garcia.
Who wins, bro? Him or Ryan?
You know what, man? I want to see Teo have like another fight and then maybe fight Ryan. I think he needs to get his timing back, get in the rhythm of being in the ring. Because you can spar all you want, but, being here fight night is a little different. So, that's going to be a toss-up, but I don't know. I'm going to have to go with Ryan. He's my countryman, man. I'm going to go him.
With the American, with the Mexican, with the Chicano.
Yes.
That was actually funny because you can hear Fernando Vargas clearly say, I'm going for my countryman, because of the fact that Ryan Garcia is Mexican and Teofimo Lopez is not, which there's nothing wrong with Fernando saying that at all. But you could hear someone else try to say the American, and then you hear somebody say he's Mexican, he's the Chicano. That's when Vargas said yes. But once again, even though Fernando Vargas said he's got to go with his countrymen, he started that piece off, or the response off, by saying, I think Teofimo Lopez needs at least one more fight before he fights Ryan Garcia. Just think about how that sounds. Fernando Vargas just basically said Teofimo Lopez, he has a serious uphill battle at the new weight class, which is, of course, obviously really bad news for Teofimo Lopez. Whenever you ask other professional boxers who wins a fight between Gervonta Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia, even Mexican boxers pick Gervonta Tank Davis to win the fight. Julio Cesar Chavez, he said that he believes Gervonta would knock Ryan Garcia out, and he actually said this after Ryan Garcia called up Chavez while he was in his dressing room, preparing for the Fortuna fight. Ryan called up Julio Cesar Chavez to get some words of wisdom from him, and then soon as Chavez got off the phone with Ryan Garcia, knowing that Ryan was about to fight Fortuna, Chavez later on admitted in an interview a couple days later he never even bothered to watch the fight. And he said when he was asked why he didn't watch the Ryan Garcia fight, Chavez said, and I quote, "Because I don't watch bullshit." And then when he was asked how would the Gervonta Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia fight play out, Chavez just laughed and said, "Oh, that would be bad. That would be bad for Ryan Garcia." Then he said he would pick Gervonta to knock Ryan Garcia out. And now, by way of contrast, when it comes to Teofimo Lopez and people ask who wins a fight between Lopez and Ryan Garcia, boxers are saying that Teo may not even be ready for Ryan Garcia because they feel he needs at least one more fight. That speaks volumes, guys. Now, once again, I want to go back to what Vargas said, or some of the other things that he said. He said that Teofimo Lopez, he needs to work on some things. He said his timing seems to be off. It seems like he gassed out, etc., etc., etc. We've never heard people talk like this about Devin Haney. We've never heard people talk like this about Gervonta Tank Davis. And it's important to compare them because remember, it wasn't that long ago when we were calling all of these guys the Fantastic Four, the Super Four, etc., right? And if you guys recall, I was telling you right here on my channel that Teofimo Lopez and Ryan Garcia, they are the two weakest links. And that was something that was corroborated by Ryan Garcia and Teofimo. Ryan Garcia, you know I played the clip for you guys many times, so I shouldn't have to play it again. But Ryan has said on multiple occasions during interviews that he felt Devin Haney and Tank would both beat Teofimo Lopez. And then when Teofimo Lopez was interviewed a while ago before he lost, he said that he felt Ryan Garcia was the weakest link out of the four. It turns out they were both right. Just look at the contrast again. Just think about this. You guys notice when Devin Haney, when he got staggered by Linares, notice there was no one saying that Devin Haney, he needs to work on some things. He needs a couple more fights before he fights Ryan Garcia. He fights this guy or Teofimo. No boxers were saying this about Devin Haney. I mean, outside of somebody like Ryan Garcia, but that's a whole different story. Now, guys, you heard everything that Fernando Vargas Jr. said right there. And just to show you old media's desperate attempt to push their agenda, I want you to pay attention to what the reporter said in response to what the boxer Fernando Vargas Jr. just said. This is the reporter with Fight Hype. Now, because this reporter in particular didn't like what Fernando Vargas and all of the other boxers are saying about Teofimo's performance, he desperately tries to force Fernando Vargas to say something positive about Teofimo Lopez, or at least about Teo's performance.
You got the job done tonight.
A lot of talent.
Oh, a shitload of talent. I like Teo, bro.
Because he seems like he does shit that other guys, it's not the most fundamentally sound, but it's unique stuff.
Bro, it's entertainment. I came out here enjoying a good night of boxing with my brother and my dad, and he's an entertainer. He puts on a show.
Now, did you guys hear that? Do you guys see how the reporter, he tried to rebuff what Fernando Vargas Jr. said by saying, but Teofimo, he's got a lot of talent, right? I mean, even though he's not fundamentally sound, he's a unique fighter. And Vargas' only response was, well, yeah, I like the guy. I mean, he's definitely entertaining. We came to be entertained, and that's what we got. But entertainment is not enough to beat the top guys. You have to be more than entertaining, and you have to be more than just talented. You have to be special. There's a major difference. Any boxer that can get in the ring and win any kind of fight has talent, and his talent is boxing. He knows how to box. The word talent means you have a particular skill, but to what degree? And according to a lot of these professional boxers that handed out the report card to Teofimo Lopez, he doesn't have the talent to compete with the top guys at the welterweight or the junior welterweight division. But the most beautiful thing about me saying this is if Teofimo Lopez keeps his word, we will soon find out how much talent he really has, because obviously you can't tell off of fighting someone like Campa, or at least we certainly can't say he looks special after that performance against Campa. I'm going to talk a lot more about this when it comes to Teofimo moving up to 140 and other fighters that have moved up, from the fighters that were very successful and the fighters that were unsuccessful. But I'm going to wrap this one up, guys. That's all I got for now, and I'm on to the next one.
Fellas, I've got some great news for you. If you've lost your hair or have a receding hairline, the time has come when you can finally get your hairline back through a process called scalp micropigmentation. So here's how it works. It's a hair tattoo that replicates the look of your hair follicles when you have fully shaved it down. So to get this hookup, make sure you follow and contact my man Scalp Carolinas on Instagram.
Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight,
you know what, man?
Visit thefighterfirm.com.
I want to see Teo have like another fight, and then maybe fight Ryan. You know, I think he needs to get his timing back, get in the rhythm of being in the ring. Because you can spar all you want, but you know, being here fight night is a little different. So that's gonna be a toss-up.
But my attorney for a while and helped guide me through
I
all
don't know.
kinds of business.
I'm about to go Ryan.
So make
He's my
sure you
countryman,
guys
man.
go
I'm
to
gonna go ahead.
thefighterfirm.com.
American.
All right, now
Yeah.
check this out, guys. You're looking
Yes,
to repair
yeah.
eczema
When you back in the ring,
scars,
brother, you and the brother.
It's
bruises,
looking towards like the
dark
end of
spots, and
September.
blemishes.
Man, the
This
whole
right here is
dynasty.
the
We'll be
perfect
back on the
product
trailer
for you
card.
guys. It's called
Yes,
LO
sir.
the Key, Face and Body
Thank you,
Oil.
bro.
Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to lodekey.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram.